Just let me
So
know what slide you want.
why don't you go down to, let's see, not that, let's see. So I think we left off about, let's see, a way to, let's see, uh, oh, let's see. Okay, so yeah. So yeah, it's that next slide that we want to go to about curiosity.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks everyone for your patience here. Okay, so continuing on with what I was trying to say about learning. So to me, here's a couple of great quotes regarding curiosity. Curiosity is a spark that that ignites the fire of learning. It is the desire to explore, question, and discover new knowledge and experiences, the natural human inclination that is required for lifelong learning. To me, that is such a powerful statement. And hopefully, all of us here are on the path of lifelong learning. And I have no special talents. I am only passionately curious. That was a famous quote from Albert Einstein. Again, to me, that is so powerful. And I hope that all of you are as curious as I about this topic. Lloyd, please go to the next slide. Okay, so some stuff about the meetings in general. Okay. I have, so what my plans are right now is that one time per month, I want to have regular meetings, all online meetings, all virtual. And the regime that I want to set up is on the last Saturday of each month at 1 p.m. Pacific start is my planned layout for these meetings. And for the general structure that I wish to follow until I get feedback from all of you, which will be coming in a bit here, I want to have a featured education module, so some content for us to learn and explore with, and also followed by a workshop demo and hands-on section. So what I mean by that is the idea that I can do kind of like a mini show and tell for a few minutes all the way up to like a half an hour or something that is focused on a specific topic for demonstration. And then with the combination of those two structures for the event, then I want to open up some time then for us to build together, utilize those skills, and work in our workshops, in our virtual workshops that we're sharing with each other, work there in our workshop and actually implement with the learnings that we've just covered, and based on everything that we've done up to that point. So that's kind of the overall meeting structure. And then as interest is realized in particular areas of development, whatever, we may want to have additional sessions per month. And again, I'm looking for your input on all that. Lloyd, next screen, please. Next slide. Okay. All right. So one thing that you may be wondering about right now is what are we going to do? What are we going to do about hardware and parts and kits and all that? And are there any specific criteria that I'm thinking about along those lines? And basically, it's going to be a no on that. There isn't anything specific, with a very few exceptions that we will be getting to. And what I want to do within this group is more concentrate on the principles and not real specifics, specific boards, specific sensors necessarily, specific shields, which shields is a generic Arduino term for boards that directly interface with Arduino hardware. That's what a shield is, okay? And so, as I say, it's more principles based. And we're encouraged to be applying what we learn here based on our interest, our budgets, our budget constraints, and the skills that we want to learn, as well as what we are already bringing to the group and our own personal skill set. And we're going to be walking through those exceptions for what I'd like to have each of us have on hand. Next up, Lloyd, next slide, please. Okay, and let's see. Okay, seems like we're moving around a little bit differently than what I had originally planned on. Anyway, so the idea about communications, I want to have I've got set up right now. I've got a Discord channel set up for us, as well as a YouTube channel for between meetings, discussions, sharing of projects, questions, etc. That will be that I think are advantageous. For those of you who don't know what Discord is, it's a great communication forum where literally everything is, it's not like Facebook where somebody posts something and then you go back and you try and find it and you can't. Within Discord, everything is like a stream of thought within a particular sector of the Discord server. And so it's real easy to go in and find either what you posted or what somebody else has posted and be able to reply to that comment, upload files. You can even video and audio share within the environment. It's a very powerful communication platform. And so I have a Discord account. You can't just go in and join. You have to be invited. And so the link that's there will take you in to allow you to join the group that I have set up. I had alluded to earlier about the use of a YouTube channel. I already have that set up. And the idea with this is that all sessions, all events will be recorded and they will be uploaded into the YouTube channel for later reference. I think that that's a handy thing to have for all of us to keep up with everything. Lloyd, next slide, please. Okay, so now is the time that I want to open the floor for all of you. And at this time, you can go ahead and unmute yourself as you see fit. But I'm looking to see about understanding all of you, especially the folks in the room that I don't know. As far as you chiming in, as I said, this is intended to be your group just as much, if not more, than mine. And so I want to tailor the content to your needs, to your skill levels, and to ultimately what you want to learn about Arduinos. And so this is going to be kind of an open mic, or even I would prefer that you verbally communicate to the group rather than using chat. But if you can share several points out of this list, and Lloyd, I'd like to have us keep this list up during this conversation, but I'd like to know what enticed you to join the group, and what beyond what I've shared with everyone so far about meeting frequency and structure and format. I'd like to know if you have any other desires for how often we meet, the types of the way that the meetings are formatted and done, and what are you interested in learning about here. I'm looking for specific topics and or projects that you are interested in. And a big key for me going forward with this group in planning upcoming events, etc., is I'd like to know what everyone's skill level is in Arduinos, in programming, electronics, embedded systems, your experience with other microcontrollers, and specific sensors, interface boards, all sorts of things that are all related to the Arduino is what it is I'm asking about. So it'd be great to know the skill level that is in this group. Okay. And I'd like to know about anyway, one of the things that we need to do is we each need to have our own development computer with the computer that will interface with our Arduino boards so that we can actually program them. And so I'd like to know the proportion of Windows to Mac to Linux users, because that will help steer me, guide me as far as the explanatory content that I give about how to set things up and to understand all that. And then I'm wondering about if you already have an at-home workshop where you can do your experiments, your building, and where you've got all your tools, equipment, components, all that kind of stuff. And so I'd like to know about if you do have an existing workshop, or what your plans are as far as this hobby is concerned in general, about having a workshop, that type of thing. And also how interested you are in robotics and building robots, and any other points that you'd like to contribute. So as I say, I've got the mic open for your contributions, please. Okay. And please don't be shy. As I said before, there are no dumb questions and there are no dumb statements. The only view in my point for a dumb comment or a dumb thought that any one of us has as humans is if we don't have the courage to come out and say it and ask the question. It's so important. That's something that I learned early on in my education, is that if you've got something that you need to say or ask about, it's always smart to vocalize it, to ask it, and to get the answer that you need. That's the only way that we can grow and learn. So, and as I said, this is your group as much as it is mine. And so I'm hoping that people will want to participate and join in and provide some feedback.
Cool. I guess I'll go.
Okay, cool. Go for it.
Cool. All right. Well, first of all, Donna, thank you so much for organizing this group. I really appreciate it. And Marcus, thank you for dutifully helping the presentation along. My name's Mark Heller. I'm here in San Francisco. I've actually been doing Arduino for a long time. I started teaching an Arduino class, I think, back in 2005 or six, and I've taught Arduino for many years. In an art school setting, I taught at the San Francisco Art Institute, and also there's a place here in San Francisco, the Gray Area Art and Technology Center. So I've written a lot of curriculum. It's all on GitHub. I'm happy to give it to you, or teach some lessons if you'd like.
Oh, wow, cool. All right.
Yeah, most of my stuff's like arty stuff. I'm like, I've worked at art schools. I work as an art conservator on computer-based art for SF MoMA. But anyways, I want to show you my latest project. I've done a lot of Arduinos. These days, I'm more into ESP32s, which are like Arduinos. They just have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. And I've been looking at the new lines of Arduinos, and they actually have wireless chips on them like these. So, but we can think of this as an Arduino. This is an ESP32, but we can think of it as an Arduino with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on it. It's like $7. And this particular sensor here is a MPU 6050 that has an accelerometer. Accelerometer will measure the direction on the X, Y, or Z axis, the speed of it. That's how our phones, when we tilt them, it knows to go to landscape or whatnot. This also has a gyroscope on it, which is like a compass. And so I programmed this. Let me see. let me. I programmed this. Where's Zoom? Okay, I'm gonna share. Can I share my screen here? Uh, share. I programmed this in the Arduino IDE here. Can everyone see that? This is a program I have. So I'm
Yeah,
using the
yeah,
Ada.
we can see it, Mark.
Oh, cool. One thing I'd love to get out of this group is the Arduino IDE consistently gets worse.
Yes,
And
yeah, right.
I I would love to learn platform IO a little bit more.
Uh-huh. Yep.
I'm noodling with it, and I just want to get it nice and fast and efficient. But here's
Cool.
my program. I'm using the Adafruit MP6050 library. A lot of libraries for this. Adafruit's pretty good. That particular sensor runs I2C protocol, so the wire library helps me with that. ESP32 has Wi-Fi. I'm actually not using ESP82, so I can get rid of that. But so I have Wi-Fi on here, and I also have the UDP, Universal Datagram Protocol. Sorry if this is a bit much, but this is just for sending wireless messages. There's my Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi password. Don't steal it. And I'm pointing to the IP address on my computer. And I won't go through all of this, but the library gives me acceleration in the X, Y, and Z, and also gives me gyroscope direction in the X, Y, and Z. And this particular library puts it kind of little data packet, and it's transmitting. And then from there, I'm going to share this other thing, and I'll stop. I don't want to take up too much time, but I just want to share. I'm very proud of this project, actually. But so here's my screen. So one of the things I'm doing right now is I'm using another desktop sort of environment called Touch Designer, and that protocol that I showed you in my code uses something called OSC. It's called Open Sound Control. It's really just a set of key value pairs that gets transmitted over Wi-Fi. UDP, which is faster because it doesn't acknowledge or verify the packets. But you can see here, I'm moving this and I'm getting some data, and it's messing with this sort of geometry that I did. And why I'm doing this is, well, I have a laser upstairs. I have a laser down here, but they're painting the house. But you can see here, I'm using the sensor with a LiPo battery pack, so it's completely untethered, and it's controlling that program. But that program then outputs to a little laser I have. They do a lot of lasers for nightclubs and things, and it's controlling that. So that was my experiment. I know it may be a bit much, but I just wanted to show what I'm doing, and but I've been doing this for a long time, and but I also have been teaching Arduino for many years. I'm happy to start at the beginning if anyone wants a tutorial
Great.
on this or that.
Yeah,
So
that's
thank you.
great. Yeah, that's great, Mark. One suggestion I'm going to make. First of all,
Yeah,
thank you for your volunteer to be a guest presenter.
sure.
And so after the meeting, I'll be providing information again for the URLs for the Discord invite and also
All right.
for the YouTube channel. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to please in Discord to be providing project information. It'd be cool to understand, these tools that you were using, some of the Arduino
Sure.
libraries and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm going to ask you to please share that information. And also, if you've got a GitHub
Oh
repository
yeah.
started, that would be fantastic as well.
Sure,
So,
it's a mess, but I'll post it
well,
anyways.
and yes, definitely. One of the things we're going to be talking about are other IDEs besides the
Oh, cool.
Arduino IDE. And yes, the platform IO environment is something that I want to concentrate on heavily within this
Nice.
environment as time goes on. Okay.
Cool. All
Thank you so
right.
much, Mark, for sharing.
Thank you.
Well, what else do people want to contribute and share and express? Again, please don't be shy.
All right, I guess I'll go next.
Okay,
Let's see.
Cooking Brian.
Yes, Cooking Brian, the guy who's cooking. So, I am a self-taught programmer, and I am here because I really like C. I've been doing basically nothing but programming in C, and it seems like if you're going to do a lot of C, embedded systems is kind of the way to go for that,
Mm-hmm.
for your
Mm-hmm.
career.
Yep.
So, I'm really, really interested in that. Um, and I really wanted to get started in embedded system stuff. This is really my first foray into any of that.
Cool.
So really, I'm just kind of here to try and figure out what it would take to get started with that. What things are good to start with? What things are good to kind of graduate to?
Mm-hmm.
What
Mm-hmm.
skills I need to make a career out of this basically hobby that I have right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Right. Yeah, that's I know for myself, Brian, that's where I started. As far as my programming career and the core languages that I was learning in college was C first, and then I graduated to C++. I started learning assembly language for desktop computers, and that's where I concentrated the core of my corporate job experience was utilizing all of those together. And
Okay.
so I've so just to, as a share on that. But yes, I would say that C and C++ are still, even with all the new languages,
All the new
environments, boards,
tools.
all the new tools, all that kind of stuff that's always coming out, and that's the hot new thing. If a desktop or embedded programmer can learn and master C and C++, I think that they are so much better off as far as the types of projects that they can do, the transferable skills into whatever it is, either hobby or job wise, that a person wants to do in the programming realm. I think that they're so much better off. And I'm happy to hear, like myself, that you've got a lot of skill and interest in the C language. And that's one of the main things that we're going to concentrate on, at least initially, in this group, is learning and mastering the C and C++ languages. Because the Arduino, for
Okay.
those of you who don't know, the Arduino also supports other languages as well, in addition to other environments, programming environments beyond the Arduino IDE. So that's just kind of an FYI there. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I've been hearing a lot of buzz around another language called Rust, that I
Mm-hmm,
have
mm-hmm,
zero
mm-hmm.
experience in, but it seems to be another one that's very popular
Yeah,
for
right,
high performance, low level stuff.
right, right.
Um,
Yep.
I don't know. It sounds like we aren't really going to be touching on that a whole lot. Probably, uh, I might not be
Yeah,
in the right
well,
group for that if I'm interested, but
right. Okay, so just to clarify, Brian, you did say Rust, Rust.
that
That
is correct.
right. Okay, right. Yeah,
The
right.
symbol's
Yeah,
like
if
a crab, so
right, right, exactly. Yeah, no, I that is something that I want to thank you for sharing your interest in that. That's something that I'm developing skills in as well.
oh, cool.
And there is, and I'll share this in the Discord channel. But there is and Lloyd can speak to this as well, but there's a local Seattle Rust users group that is very active also on Meetup, and they've got their own respective Discord server as well. And they meet on
Okay.
a monthly basis, all on Rust. And so that's a
Oh,
great
neat.
launching point for those of us who want to um, transfer our skills, learn new skills in the Rust language. So I'll be
Yeah.
sharing that information in the Discord server as well.
Yeah, so I'm not necessarily interested, but I've
Well,
just
okay,
heard it being
right. I just
used a lot, I guess.
right,
So,
yeah, and yeah, and you're right. I just wanted to throw that out that for those of us who were interested in Rust, to just to communicate that.
all right, perfect. So
Okay.
yeah, that's pretty much me. Thanks for letting me talk.
Well, sure. Thank you for sharing.
Can I go next?
Sure, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Lada. I'm normally based in Seattle, but currently I'm in San Francisco as well till the start of March. Um, so I'm a software developer. I'm a backend software developer, so I do a lot of I used to do a lot of microservices and stuff in Java, and lately Python, and a little bit of JavaScript and TypeScript. Um, and I basically why I wanted to join is well, I noticed that with backend, like I make something, it may be interesting, complex, and so on. It gives me some sort of like joy when I do that. But when I do something, even in a front end, right, they kind of show and point to, and it looks more real and it kind of is more enjoyable. And with, I guess, with making something in real world, I think that's the next level to that. So thinking about like making robots or Arduinos, like I always wanted to do that and didn't know how to start. But it's really, I have a lot of interest in that, I guess. So that's why I'm joining this group. Um, I'm good at software development, but I'm zero at Arduino and electronics embedding systems and so on. So
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
hoping to hoping to see ways to start and have some projects to work on together. So excited about that.
Good, cool.
Um,
Oh.
yeah.
So do you have some specific projects, Arduino wise, that you'd like to explore?
Nothing specific right now.
Okay,
I
all right.
guess this is part of the things I'm looking for, and I
Okay.
do have an interest in Rust too, by the way.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, I
all right.
heard it's a pleasure to program in. So
Okay.
in addition to being fast and efficient.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool. Thank you, Lada, for sharing.
thank you.
I guess I can go next. My name's Graham. I have a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science from the University of Calgary. I live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I've done, well, basically right now I'm my IT consultant for small business and residential clients. So basically on-site IT support. I have worked at an art center, the Banff Center for the Arts, doing VR programming. Um, yeah, lots of different languages I've learned over the from my university days all the way to dabbling now. I do more support now than writing, but sort of that's more of a side hobby type thing. I got one of these um, mega starter kits for Christmas, not last year or this past Christmas, but the Christmas before. It was on my Christmas list, so I got it. Haven't really done anything with it. So I thought maybe this group would inspire me to do something with it. Um, but yeah, I've downloaded books from Fanatical. You can get them really cheap, like make books and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
haven't been, well, I got all kinds of projects going on the go that, you kind of always pulled in different directions. So it's maybe this will get me focused and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to do something
Good.
with this. But,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Good. So forgive me, Graham, if you already spoke to this, but so so what kind of language experience or do you mostly have, do you mostly use in
C is probably
okay.
like
So
my primary language, but I've done Pascal, Basic,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Fortran.
Right.
I
Yep.
don't know if
Yep.
that anyone even does Fortran anymore, but
Right. Yeah. Yeah, me too. I
I've done lots of different, well, 6502, IBM 360, 68,000 assembler,
mm-hmm,
you know,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but yeah, so
Okay,
pretty
good.
well any programming language is pretty easy to pick up now, I
Yeah,
think
right.
that,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Okay,
And
great.
I tend to fix things around the house like the furnace and the washer and the dryer. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
dabbling in electronics and,
Right. Cool.
during university, I had a couple engineering, electrical engineering courses, but that I took. But
Mm-hmm.
so, and digital electronics
Right,
and
right.
computer science and all
Yep.
that. So
Cool.
yeah.
Wonderful. So do you have any specific like to do with that mega kit that you referenced? So do you have anything specific that you want to, other than just kind of learning the basics as far as how to get started, how to do like a hello world program on that board? What next steps would you like to take as
Well,
far
like
as like projects and
what Mark was doing was pretty fascinating.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was also looking at I don't know if you can, I saw his 3D printer in the background there too, but using something, taking maybe sensors out of the mice, like out of broken mice or whatever, being
Mm-hmm.
able to
Mm-hmm.
use that to scan 3D objects or something. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if
Mm-hmm.
anyone's tried something like that.
Yeah, that re upcycling old electronics with Arduino into new devices would be pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
Or like, could you like make a robot out of an old laser printer? Is that something that someone's done here?
I was just making a note, Graham, about your interest in, and Mark as well, about your interest in recycling of old electronics parts with Arduino. That's a cool idea that I had not thought about.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, doing once a month on a Saturday, that works for me, I
Okay,
think. So
cool, cool, good. I'm
I don't
glad you
know if
like that.
like, did I address everything in your list there? Oh, I'm primarily a Windows guy.
Okay,
Um,
okay, cool.
yeah.
All right.
Although I know Unix from my
Mm-hmm.
university
Mm-hmm.
days,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
not Linux specifically. Just
Okay. All right. Okay. Good.
oh, and I mention, yeah, VR work at the Banff Center. So
Okay.
that was using centers, 3D center. This is back in the 1990s before you could do VR on a phone now. But
Mm-hmm.
we had a fridge-sized computer that did, the old helmets that were CGA resolution in the eyes. But yeah, it was quite old technology. But back in the day, it was like $250,000 equipment kind of thing.
Right. Right. Cool. Anything else that you'd like to share at this
No,
juncture,
I
Graham?
think that covers pretty well everything I
Okay.
need.
All right. Good. Thank you for sharing. And we'll go a few more minutes for this open mic, and then we'll move on because we still have more content before we hit the 3 o'clock hour. Who else has something burning that they'd like to share or ask about or contribute for the group?
Okay, I guess I'll jump in.
Oh, hello, Rick.
Hi
Yes.
there.
Hi there.
Uh, let's see. Join the group. I need to know more about the Arduino. Um, my experience goes all the way back to assembly with Z80s and 6502s and basic on
Mm-hmm.
the Commodores and the
Mm-hmm.
Atari computers. And college was the old teletype machine, didn't even have monitors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did a lot of PIC programming in the early 2000s. We had a product we sold and uh, did pretty good with that. And I basically collect old robots from the 80s. And a group of us using old artistic shapes of the robots from the 80s and putting different controllers and stuff in them and trying not to change the looks. Skill level Arduino. So far, I prefer MicroPython, but I know I need to learn C++ or whatever you call it. So that's why I'm here. Windows guy, just because it's what everybody else has. And, got 3D printers and test equipment and all that stuff. And we used to actually manufacture a little educational robot kit and have a laser cutter and CNC machines and plasma cutters and vacuum formers and all those kind of tools. And yeah, big interest in the robotics.
Okay, cool. All right, good.
Did I get all the topics?
I think so. I think you've covered at least the big ones there.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Rick. Thanks for your contributions. Anybody? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
please. Yeah.
I can go quickly. So my name is Marcos. I did 22 years in the Marines, retired as an intel officer. Been working in real estate property management recently, but I also have experience in some front-end development with React and TypeScript. I was learning the back end, doing some volunteer work with Engineers for Ukraine, and also dabbled in supporting some of the drone efforts over there. I'm interested in software hardware. I'm looking to transition through vocational rehab, which is a VA program where I'm trying to get into robotics engineering, autonomous systems. So this is, I think, kind of like the first step in maybe tinkering with Arduino.
Okay.
As far as the preferred meeting frequencies, this is fine. I think Saturdays are okay for me. No big deal. And as I mentioned, I'm going through your questions. I'm interested in starting, so I'm ready to jump in with whatever, if there's kits available, stuff like that. Anything that you guys recommend to kind of like have like a starter kit. I'm ready and willing to jump in. I do have space to work from here. I grew up rebuilding engines, transmissions. My dad was a machinist, mechanic. So I love taking things apart, putting them back together. I've got some electrical experience with soldering and stuff like that, so that's not a big deal for me.
Okay, good.
I primarily use Windows, but I'm familiar with Mac, and I also use Windows Subsystem for Linux when coding. And my interest in robotics is 100%, as I mentioned. It's kind of something I'm looking to maybe transition into and dive a little deeper into. But I'm brand new to Arduino though. I've heard about it, I've seen it, I've supported some of the efforts with sensors and stuff like that in troubleshooting certain items. Any other points to contribute? Yeah, no, other than what I mentioned, that's it. And then I've got nothing needed for any modifications.
Okay, cool.
And I don't know if I'm in North County, San Diego. I don't know if I mentioned that already.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you, Marcus.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else before we close out this My Asks of You section? Now's the time to bring it forth.
I forgot to mention what platforms I'm on. This is Cooking Brian here again.
Oh,
I do develop mostly on Linux so far, just because I'm only on Linux really because I happen to notice that there are like a lot of developer tools on Linux. Sometimes it looks like there's more on there than there are on Windows, but that's probably wrong. So, yeah, I am on Linux mostly.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, no worries. I suspect, in case you haven't thought of this already, on the Discord server, I don't know if you have like experience moderating that or anything like that, but you could probably set up like a bot with some roles, and that like people can respond to a message with like, a Windows emote or like a penguin or something, and then it'll automatically like give people a Windows or Linux role, and then you can ping everyone in those roles all at once or something like that. So just an idea, I guess.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for, yeah, I'm relatively new to moderating anything on Discord. In fact, this is really this is my maiden effort for being an admin for a Discord server. So I'm looking to improve my skills and learn as I go with Discord. So thank you for
All
the
right, well,
contribution.
Well, best of luck to that. I will help you if you ask. I don't know much, but
Okay.
you know,
you got some experience.
I have like a little experience. I
Okay.
use Discord a lot. That's my experience.
Okay. All right.
So yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, everyone. I think we've probably spent enough on this particular topic. And so just as an FYI, another thing I don't think that I mentioned early on about my aspirations for the group is that I'm real impassioned about taking the skills that we explore and master within this community, about taking those skills and transferring them into robotics. I'm going to be blatantly honest about that. That's one of my goals, is to hopefully get all of us here interested in robotics and building small or larger robots. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm heavily involved in the Seattle Robotics Society, and also building robots for contests that we regularly host through our group. And since a lot of us on the call today are local to the Seattle area, I'm hoping that I can inspire all of you to build for those contests. And in fact, I'll just do a brief mention here, and I'll be announcing this kind of thing in the Discord group as well. But we've got our first for 2025 planned in-person event for the Seattle Robotics Society. It's called a mini robothon event, and that will be held locally here in Seattle on May 31st. And so I'll be providing the contact details for everything regarding the rule sets for the contest and all that. So what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to get the juices flowing for all of you to really inspire you along taking the programming, development environment, and interfacing skills that we're going to be learning here, and putting them to use, not only for your own projects, for your own creative outlet that way, but also transferring that into robotics. So I think enough said on that. Okay, Lloyd, next slide, please.
Actually, I have a quick question.
Oh,
Since
of course, yes.
you're trying to get us into robotics. When you say robots and robotics, like what are you talking about?
Okay,
What more specifically?
Okay, thanks for the question, Brian. So robots, at least in my viewpoint of them, a lot of times people, when they hear about robots, especially hobby robots, I am specifically talking about hobby robotics here. I'm not talking about commercial development and sale of robots. Okay. So usually when people hear that hobby robotics term, they think about combat robots, like war and all that kind of stuff. Well, personally, I'm not into that. And I'm not into either the idea about having a robot be remote controlled as far as its thinking and all that kind of stuff, and the ultimate projects that we build. I'm not thinking about really the remote control aspect, which is primarily what combat robots are. In fact, they are all remote control. They're not autonomous. Autonomous is, to me, the way that we should be thinking about transferring our skills in actually building a hobby robot, regardless of the size, the scope, the contest or the project that we want to have that robot perform, or the task that we want it to perform. And I mean, it's a big area, you know, thinking about autonomous robots, it's a big area. And if you go over to seattlerobotics.org and robothon.org, our group has those two sites that we have content on. And on robothon.org, you'll be able to see what all of the contests are that we host at various times throughout the year. And you'll see a catalog on one of those two sites as far as the recordings and the snapshots as far as previous events that we've held in our autonomous robotics space. But basically, a robot is, in my view again now, is an autonomous control. Autonomous means that there is, other than the robot user pushing a button to click on start your task, start your core job for that robot. Other than that, it's all done in a hands-off fashion for its thinking, the way that it senses the world, the way that it moves. Okay. So to me, an autonomous robot thinks on its own with the programming and the sensors and the actuation that we impart that robot design with. And then that robot performs something, some action. It senses its environment and it moves and it performs some sort of action. Beyond that, Brian, I don't really want to be getting into more particulars than that. I hope that answers your question. And
yeah, that's good enough.
You know, so if you go over to those two websites, which Terry James, thank you, Terry, for putting those links in the chat. That you'll get a lot more concepts as far as what we within that club think about robots and the types of things that we do with them. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Any other questions about robotics and anything that we've covered thus far before we move on?
One question, Donna, are you in Seattle?
Oh, I'm sorry. What was your question?
Are you in Seattle?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I never mentioned that, did I?
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm in the Seattle area.
That's awesome. I was wondering about I think the society, but like everything I looked at was like mostly for kids. Like if you're a kid, that's very easy to get into robotics. But for grown-ups, I didn't know how to do
Right.
that.
Yeah. So yeah, right. Like on the kids side of the house, or the, say, like under 18 crowd, the big thrust for getting into robotics is FIRST, FIRST, FIRST Robotics. FIRST is huge, of course, in the schools, in the public and private school environments. And so, yeah, SRS and myself and a lot of the other people that are here today that are involved in the Seattle Robotics Society, we are a group of adults that are impassioned, and we work and play in the robotics realm. And we utilize our skills in the hobby. So yeah, we're not focused, other than the people who are involved as mentors and coaches in the FIRST environment, and because FIRST it has a big presence here in Washington State, as they do in other parts of the United States. And there are some people who are involved in the SRS who are mentors, etc., and participants as far as helping out in the FIRST environment. But primarily, the SRS is a adult education and exploration, and that's what I'm hoping to have within this community. Also, is a set of adults. You know, I'm certainly not prohibiting below 18 or below interested people from joining in with this group. I think that's awesome. But primarily, this is an adult educational opportunity and community. Okay.
All right, that's what I'm interested in. That sounds fantastic.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. So thank you, Lloyd, for advancing to that slide that was next on dot. So today I did want to have one education module, okay, to go along with everything else we've talked about. And I would just kind of want to review the benefits, give some scope, in my view, as far as all the benefits of Arduinos, okay? First off, Arduinos are everywhere for hobbyists and even at the professional level. And that online, if you do any kind of perusing about Arduinos, they love to tout it. The Arduino creators, they tout it as it's great for artists, hackers, experimenters, and anyone who wants to have an expressive platform. Okay. As I've said before, I'm hoping to not only contribute to the artistic elements that some of us may have that are part of this community, but also into more of the sensors and actuators or motors, control arms, all that kind of stuff, as far as interfacing Arduinos with actual sensors and actuators. Okay, so expressive platform in the robotics arena. Okay, point number 2, open source everything. The source code for the boards and what's called the firmware, the code, the resident code that sits on the board that enables power up and upload and download of code onto the board. Both the software code itself and the firmware is open source. The software that comprises the Arduino IDE is open source. All the libraries are not part of the software platform and environment itself, but are external pieces of software that you can plug in to your development environment to enable specific functions and pieces of sensors and boards, etc., to interface with your Arduino board. That's what a library is. And then also there's what's called the Arduino core, which is the actual software and that is the core drivers, the core engine of the Arduino boards themselves. So everything is open source. In other words, open source means, especially in this context, that it's all free to access. It's free to edit for your own use. In fact, we as users of the Arduino, since it is open source, are able to contribute to the furtherment, the improvement of the Arduino environment. That's part of the core of having something be open source hardware and open source software. So that's another great tenet of this environment. Another point, it's very cost effective. As a core example there, it only costs about $30 US American for a Arduino Uno board, okay? At both the code, all that open source materials that I just mentioned, all that's free, and the development environment is free, okay? Including what we were talking about earlier about the desire to master the platform IO development environment. That's something else that's completely free. That's another sample of open source. Okay. So very, very cost effective. And in general, all the shields, sensors, other boards that are of interest that directly hook in with the Arduino is also very cost effective, and they won't break your budget. And then also they are cross operating system compatible. What I mean by that is the development environment, like the Arduino IDE. They run on Windows, Macintosh, and Linux. So all the popular operating systems are supported, at least with the Arduino IDE. Lloyd, next slide, please. Okay, continuing on with this, there are multiple, and I did mention this earlier, there are multiple programming languages that are supported with the Arduinos. And primarily we will concentrate on C and C++. But we will be getting into other things as time goes on, like Rust and Python and all of that. So I'm really looking forward to moving into other languages as well. Another point, Arduino support rapid prototyping. In fact, I remember when Arduinos first came out and their popularity was growing very, very fast. One of the things, and this included for the artistic uses of Arduino as well, but one of the things they were really touting at the time was how easy it was to like do a proof of concept or just to come up with a quick solution for eventual transference to an assembled board or set of code to perform something. It really enables the quick turn of idea to coding, to transfer to your board, to test out your ideas and your designs before final deployment. So that's one of the great things that still holds true with Arduinos is rapid prototyping. Next up, in general, there's a small learning curve with Arduinos as compared, say, to other embedded programming, embedded system options out there, including the ESP32, etc. that was mentioned before. In general, it's an easy language. It's an easy development environment to pick up and take off with your learning. Another point, it's easy to use. Mostly it's an all-in-one solution to get started in embedded systems. And what I mean by that is I talked about the idea about the board, the physicality, the physical parts of your system. And then I talked about the Arduino IDE or the Arduino development environment that you choose to use. So those two work in tandem in the embedded systems, space. And in general, the Arduino IDE was designed to have it be an all-in-one package and easy to pick up and use. And the Arduino, because of its popularity, there's so much out there. It's easy to learn both programming and electronics utilizing this system. Lloyd, next slide, please. And also boards and interfacing possibilities are huge, regardless of your skill level, whether you're a beginner or an experienced programmer or interested in experience in electronics. There's so much that you can do, and that's part of why I wanted to start this community. Is I figure that no matter where somebody's at in their experience and what they want to do with Arduinos, is that there's something there for all of us. So to me, that is another core benefit of Arduino. And there's lots and lots of support available. There's a huge community of followers for these boards. And there always seems to be a new rev, a new form factor, a new set of tools that's always coming out that is directly supported by Arduino, or that is a derivative of Arduino. in addition to all the libraries and tools, support packages that are out there. I mean, it's huge. And also you can buy an Arduino, like an Uno, practically anywhere now. And I mean, their availability and their cost effectiveness is really paramount with these boards. Lloyd, next slide, please. Okay, so enough on the education module for today. Let's talk about next steps and the next meeting. And we're going to get into the specifics as far as what I recommend going forward that all of you get between now and our next meeting in March. So what I'm planning on is March 29th, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific for the next meeting. And I already have an agenda picked out for this one. The education section will talk about flavors of Arduino. We already talked about the Uno, but there's lots and lots more out there. And the idea, what we're going to cover are those variants, those flavors of Arduino boards, and most importantly, how to choose which one is best for your project and what you want to do. So I think that that's a very viable, at this stage of our learning experience, module to include. And then the workshop topic that I want to do is basically, that's a typo on the slide, but it should say Arduino IDE setup. Okay. So at the actual, we're going to start with the Arduino IDE. We're going to, I'm going to do a walkthrough as far as how to set it up, how to connect your Arduino to it, how to get your development computer and the system all communicating together, and review the tools and how to navigate and use the Arduino IDE effectively, and how to compile and upload your code. We'll start with a basic, what's called Hello World example in that space. Lloyd, next slide, please. And okay, so I alluded much earlier today about a buy list and that idea about there's very few exceptions as far as specifics that I'm suggesting that you buy and outfit your workshop with. So now it's kind of like a show and tell time for me here on my screen with what I want to show you. We want to start with the basics, and the basic board is what's called an Arduino Uno. And the Arduino Uno, what I'm referring to is what's called an R3 or a Rev 3 board. At least I believe that that's where the current Unos are at. So I'm suggesting that you do get one or two of those boards. So invest either $30 or $60 for that. And then you need to have, so I'm going to show you, I'll give you a physical sample here with my camera, as far as what an Arduino Uno looks like. So it's a nice, real small, compact board. There's interfacing options here with the with these breakouts that are on here. There's the USB connectivity area here. I'm sorry that this is not coming out well, but here's the USB port. Here's the power port for either AC or DC power supply to power the board. So this is a real simplistic, real great starter board. So I do recommend that you get one or two of those. You're also going to need, for the interface to your development computer, a USB cable, standard one for, I don't remember what the interface standard of this cable type is. I will look that up and I will post that into the Discord channel for the specifics on for the specific type of USB cable that you need. So those two components are really required for moving on and participating at the March meeting. Beyond that, I do recommend that you start, or you make sure that you've got in your workshop, real basic components. Okay, so there's just kind of a laundry list that is listed here on the slide. Okay, and so it's a good idea, and the reason why I'm starting with this list is that, like, for doing real basic coding, real basic interfacing, once that we master, or once that we get some experience with the Arduino IDE and how to compile and upload programs to your board, then we want to start programming it where we're actually interfacing parts and eventually boards to our Arduino, and starting to our exploratory learnings in that area. And so these are just some basic that I've got laundry list here on the screen, some basic parts that are great to have at the learning and experimental stage. So basic multicolor, like green, yellow, and red LEDs, standard size LEDs, are a great arsenal to have for a nice set of LEDs. LEDs will be used to light up at various aspects for showing communication and status. So LEDs, 1/4 watt resistors. They come in anywhere, anyway, a whole range of resistor at 1/4 watt resistors are great to experiment with. Having a solid core 22 gauge hookup wire that are colored in different colors for the wires. Some basic red and black, delineating your power supply for red and ground for black, and then also getting other colors as well that are solid 22 gauge. Having a nice ample set of wire is always a great thing to have on hand for doing the actual electrical connections for your experiments. Okay, so several multicolors, or several different colors as far as spindles for that hookup wire is what I'm recommending. And then I had shown there with my Arduino board that there are multiple spots on the board for interfacing, for actually wires plugging in to the board, and then they go out to other sensors, other boards. Okay, one of the more convenient, in addition to this 22 gauge wire that we were just talking about, a real convenient way to interface your Arduino boards to something else, or to use what's called DuPont wires. And they come in multiple configurations as far as the end of the wires configuration. And so it's nice to get, if you just do DuPont, if you do a Google search for DuPont wires, it's a very typical for Arduinos and any embedded programming that you want to do. It's a very, very common part to have in your arsenal. So getting yourself a box of DuPont wires is a great add-on to your repository of parts. Solderless breadboards, that is a huge benefit and need item for doing any kind of electronic experimentation. They come in all price points. They come in all kinds of sizes, but I'm referring to what's called IC, integrated circuit, low power, low voltage, low current need breadboards. So what the idea is, so here's two examples that I'm going to show you. The one on the top here is a real small form factor, and you may just want to start with a couple of those to get your experimentations going. But the idea is that your parts directly plug into here, and and then you utilize either your DuPont wires or your 22 gauge solid core wiring to interface those parts that are on these boards over to your Arduino. And they come in longer format. This is just a mount board. That's another convenient thing to do too, is to have some of these in your workshop and then have them on mounted boards where it's easy to do your prototyping and your testing on your bench if you've got a layout like such as this. Okay. And then they also come in form factors where they're larger banks of these boards that are all on one solid platform. And then they sometimes hook out to banana plug connectors where you can directly power either your or you can supply the power source directly over to the boards. And so that everything is more in one package than you having to hook things up separately onto these other boards. So those are real nice and really essential in addition to the Arduinos themselves, set of tools. And then I also recommend that you get some mini push buttons, piezo speakers, and stacking headers are another very key ingredient to have in your arsenal. Stacking headers allow they're very, very convenient to interface what you're hooking up on your board to your breadboard, etc. And sometimes they're required for the shield boards, etc. that one gets for interfacing. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I'll be opening the floor here for questions and feedback. But let's go before we do that. Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide, please, Lloyd. Okay, so some notes about where to buy these things. Of course, as I said, things are available online like crazy that support this hobby. So Amazon, the Arduino store. There are lots of starter kits and bundled parts bundled parts and kits that are available through Google searches. Amazon is a great big seller of those bundled either kits or assortment of various parts like resistors and basic parts and electronic sensors, etc. So that's it's a great idea to outfit your workshop with those types of purchases. And Jameco, DigiKey, Adafruit, etc. are great for those large packs of electronic components, so that you can outfit your workshop. And so I do recommend that to be able to full on for next month for our meeting, that you at least get the Arduino, you get a USB interface cable, and you get some of the basic components. Again, all these materials that we're talking about will all be available shortly on the YouTube channel once that I upload our video. Okay, so you don't need to worry about jotting things down in a great big hurry. Lloyd, next slide, please. Okay, so all right. So in addition to what we just talked about for next steps, especially for those of us who have experience already in C and C++, or that we're real eager about this Arduino topic, etc. I did find, and it's a great URL provided there, I did find a great embedded systems Arduino specific electronic book and lab manual online that I suggest that you download, start studying and experimenting with once that you have some of your parts on hand. It looks like up until recently when I found this, I had never seen this particular resource available before, but it looks like it's a great starter as far as understanding and enhancing your skills for utilizing C and C++ for embedded systems. And that's part of what it is that we're going to be concentrating on during our initial journey together, where we're going to be learning programming skills, that low-level communication stuff that C and C++ provide easily for embedded systems, and being able to apply that directly to the Arduino. So again, I'll be providing all these URLs, etc., in the Discord channel and on our Meetup group after the event today. Okay, Lloyd, next slide, please. I think we're about ready to wrap this up. Okay, cool. All right. So now I want to, Lloyd, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and keep this LibreOffice open for right now while we field questions, because we may need to look at something again. So I've concluded my presentation for today, and so I would love to hear your feedback, hear your questions, and etc. So I'm opening the mic again for all of you.
Hey, yeah, actually, I have something.
Sure.
You've mentioned the Discord at a few different times, but
Sure.
the Discord link that's in the chat does not seem to be working for people.
Okay.
Would you please send another one? It could be that you sent the invite and set it to like, I don't know, expire after an hour.
Well, yeah, no, I
like
didn't.
that.
Well, as far as I know, I didn't do that. I know I was very watchful of that point, Brian, but I will.
Okay.
What I'm going to do, because I don't have the time nor the bandwidth to do that right now on the call. Okay, as far as debugging that, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to get to the root of that problem. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fix that, and then I'm going to be putting that information for everyone in our Meetup group for all these relevant links to get us all started and get us all on board with these other environments. Okay.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, all right. Thank you for cluing me in on that. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Hey, Donna, I've got a question for you.
Sure.
If you happen to have a different Arduino, like say a Mega, for instance, is that
Right.
good enough to start playing?
I would think so. Yeah, because
Okay.
the Arduino, I'm sorry, the Mega is kind of the next step up from
Yeah.
Mega. It's a kind of a superset of what the Uno can do. So yeah, so that's perfectly fine as well to start with the Mega.
Cool.
Yeah, basically comes with can't focus, can it?
Yeah.
Comes with all the parts she was listing, so plus a whole bunch more. All
Right.
the sensors and
Yeah.
Yeah.
all the
Cool.
the USB cable, all the
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, the DuPont wires and everything is
Right.
all in the kit. So
Right.
What was it
If I-
called? Mega?
Yeah, Mega is, yeah, that's the next one up. If I buy any more little single board computers, I'm going to be buried and drowning in them.
it's
Me too.
it's made by a legal, or how do you pronounce that? I guess.
Yeah.
Cool. I have a question about tools.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, this is always a challenge when I'm planning classes to teach. I'm actually working on one right now, but like jumper wires, or DuPont wires, so great. Now, if you mentioned single core wire, which is also great, but I think one might need some wire cutters.
Oh,
Strippers.
right. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. I'm sorry, Mark. Yes, I should have
Don't be
included.
sorry.
I should have. I didn't.
Oh, it's okay.
I didn't think that far in advance, I guess. Yes.
Oh, no worries.
One does need that. One does need wire cutters. They need strippers, that kind of stuff. But I was just more starting at this point as
Oh
far as,
yeah.
but yeah, that's something that I better be putting more content into the Discord server
Oh yeah.
as far as recommendations on that score. Mark, I completely apologize. That's a very good catch.
There's no reason to apologize. This is teacher to teacher because I've done that and I've taught workshops here in San Francisco and I didn't get the right thing or I just told everyone to get a USB cable and they got power only USB cable
Right.
with no data to
Right.
charge their vapes or whatever. It didn't work and so the class would be hard to teach. And
Right.
so
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the only. So none of this is me being grumpy or anything. It's
No,
just
no, no,
like
no. I appreciate you pointing that out. No, okay.
and
So
then
no worries.
and then you mentioned like header pins, but that always makes me think. And this goes back to when I teach is like, are we going to learn to solder or not? And certainly, if it's like one would introduce the idea of soldering, and have everyone get a soldering iron. You can get the really cheap ones on Amazon for like 20-30 bucks, which I think is a great skill. But you certainly cannot do it. Like I'm thinking about doing a remote course right now, which I've never done. And so I think it's going to be all breadboard, and that's why I have this camera pointing down so I can show people stuff. But I think soldering's good too. But now if you're mentoring headers or something like that, you may need to solder them. But if you're doing an Arduino Uno, the header's already soldered on. So
right. Right.
I just broaching the topic of tools and soldering.
Right.
Just for discussion.
Right.
Yeah,
no.
That's a good point. Discussion, yeah.
No,
yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, a lot of that, Mark, I was reserving until later sessions. I didn't want to overwhelm people. I didn't want to overwhelm people at the get-go, okay? Because a lot of times this stuff can be a fire hose of overwhelm, depending on where people are at with all this. And so I wanted to be careful. I wanted to be careful and avoid a lot of that, especially for our very first meeting. And so I was being very careful about not going into a lot of particulars that way. But definitely, for our next meeting, people should have basic wire cutters for that 22 gauge wire and also wire strippers. So I will articulate that kind of information in the Discord server. Okay.
Cool. And I apologize for blasting all this information. That's my bad quality is I tend to do that. I just blast too much information. I apologize. I'm going to pull back.
No problem. Don't worry about it. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. What else do people want to contribute, ask clarifications on, other than that Discord server link? Obviously not working. By the way, as an FYI, I have used as just a general user, consumer of Discord, I have received, like Mark was pointing out, that this one doesn't work. I have received numerous such invite links that don't work. And so there's something glitchy there or something. That's why I've got to go in and kind of debug this and find out what's going on. But this is what I'm getting at is that it seems to be kind of a common problem, that sometimes these links don't work as advertised. So.
Donna, one question. So I'm new to the electronics part of it very much, and you spoke about the tools and wires and colors and all of that. It's like I noticed that some things that you were talking about were deeper, and like you mentioned some things that weren't listed on the write-ups. So for me, it can be a little bit hard to get the right thing sometimes if you don't list that. So like different colors, different like what does the wiring decide sizes and so on.
Right. So what I would recommend as far as that 22 gauge solid core wire, first of all, as far as wire like that, bulk wire, what a person besides the gauge, in this case 22 gauge is what I recommend. That's because that's what fits easily on the Arduino headers as well as on our breadboards that I'm suggesting that we get. That's the standard wire size for all that is 22 gauge. Okay. And so what you want to always be careful of when you're shopping and buying wire is that you're getting either solid core or you're getting stranded wire. Okay, so for this particular type of purpose where we're at right now, I don't recommend that you get what's called stranded wires, because that's not going to work well with doing these plug-in to the various headers and onto the breadboard. So you want to watch out for the gauge size and that you're getting solid core wire. And what I recommend, Lada, for initial buying of wire is that maybe you get 3 different colors. So get red, black, and then some other color like yellow or orange or something like that. And then that way you've got a diverse selection depending on what it is that you're laying out on your boards. The idea for having the multi-colors is that it makes it real easy at a visual glance to say that you need to debug your circuit or something. It's much easier at a visual glance to be able to tell, oh, this wire is a power line wire. This other wire over here is for ground, and this other is likely a signal wire. So if you go by the rule that red color is for power, like 5 volts, okay, is typical on these circuits, and then black is for ground or 0 volts, and then your third color is for other things, other signal lines, other communication lines within your circuit. If you subscribe to physically laying out and designing your boards using those tenets, then it makes it much easier to debug and design and lay out your circuits. So that's the reason for the different colors versus having literally everything on the board be one color.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
If you could list other details like that in the list in Discord, that would be
I
probably
will
super
be.
helpful
I
to
will
me
be.
to not
Thank
miss
you
anything.
for requesting that though formally, but I was planning on doing that.
Thank you.
If you get the mega kit, you do get all kinds of colors in the kit. So
Good to know.
Yeah, there's some great kits too, like the Elegoo kits.
yeah, that's the one I got. Yeah.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
because it comes with the DuPont wires. It comes with some components like resistors, LEDs, potentiometers, knobs, buttons,
Yep.
and it's a clone of the Uno, which is interesting because open source allows us to clone a lot of things. But there may be some moral things about not supporting Arduino. Anyway, those kits have always been intriguing to me, but they might be too much too.
Yeah, that exactly right. But yet at the same time, especially if those of us in the room who don't have really anything on that gear list as far as parts, wires, whatever, I was mentioning the idea about buying a kit for the idea that if your workshop is not outfitted at all with any of those types of components, it can be a good cost break savings to go out and invest in a prepackaged kit. A lot of times, they've got a whole slew of variety of parts,
Yeah.
wires, and then on top of that, a lot of times they even come with their own everything bundled in a nice plastic housed container, so that everything is literally in one spot on your workbench. That's another convenience with buying one of those kits. So that's the reason why I was recommending the kit option at this point. Okay.
Yeah, kit sounds awesome because if you buy individual components, you might end up with a giant bag of resistors, and you're only going to use.
Yeah, right. And then and then where in the world? Yeah, and then where in the world are you going to store those? How are you going to find easily what you need when you need it, kind of thing? That gets into another whole workshop conundrum, but we're not going to go there today.
All right.
Okay. And Lloyd, I think that you can go ahead and stop screen share at this point. I think we're okay with that. I appreciate you taking the reins on that. It really helped.
So I'd like to ask what the spelling of that Allego is.
Oh, Elegoo? Elegoo. Elegoo. They make 3D printers. They're a cool company. Elegoo. Elegoo. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
They make
And,
really nice 3D printers too.
and I just wanted to say that asking people to buy resistors and headers is pretty open-ended. I don't think we need resistors from fractions of an ohm to megohms.
No,
And
no,
I don't
that's
think
very
we
true.
need headers from single to 60 in a row. So it would be nice to know more specifically which
Okay,
resistors.
so what? Okay, yeah, that's a very good point,
Uh,
Doug. So in general, for basic interfacing, one K ohm. Again, we're talking about 1/4, what's called 1/4 watt resistors here. Okay. So like 1 K ohm is a great standard. 10 K ohm is another great one to get. And then probably up to 10K is probably the max. And then some other ones to get are like 220 ohm, that kind of sizing. So again, that's just kind of an outside off the cuff answer, but I do know that what I stated was correct. But I'll do a little bit more articulation of that in the Discord server on specific additional sizes. Okay. That's another thing too, Doug, why as far as resistors are concerned, that I recommend that that you get one of those bulk packs, like through Amazon, like through DigiKey, Adafruit, where you get a budget-friendly multi-size collection of standard electronic 1/4 watt resistor packages. In other words, there you get multiple, like 10 or so, 10, 15, 20 each for each size packages. And then so it's over a great practical range for this type of electronic hobby that is all packaged in one great big packaged bundle for X price that you get from these retailers. So that's another great use of buying a prepackaged pack of resistors to get people started. Okay.
And I have lots of electronics experience, but none with Arduino. So I'm not sure what you're talking about when you ask about for a header. Because
Okay,
I've used
well,
from 1 pin to 60 pin.
oh, I
And
might.
so
Are you talking? Sorry, are you talking about these header pins?
well, she said
yeah,
that one of the
yeah,
things we
those.
would need to get would be headers.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so what I'm
So the
talking about there.
male,
Okay,
female.
so Doug, here, okay. So let me interject there. Okay, so let me so they're on adafruit.com. Okay. That's a great retailer to go to purchase what's called stacking headers. They come in, okay, so in fact I'm looking at the tag right now. They've got a part number 85 at adafruit.com, and they're specifically called shield stacking headers for Arduino. And the reason why I'm calling that one out specifically is that they come with, it's probably recommended to buy several packages of that particular part number, because they come in all manners of numbers of either single or double row headers. You can't really tell. Here's one of the components for a header that is in that kit that I referenced. They also have 2 by 3 style of headers. Okay. And like what's great is that they come in a multiple sizes pack. So again, I'll be putting specific part numbers, specific recommendations in the Discord server. Okay. Beyond that. And wow, we're right on the hour. We've finished right on time today. So this is great. I hope everyone has enjoyed this session. I know I sure have. It's been wonderful seeing so many new faces.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Donna.
Uh-huh.
I got one question for you after everybody else disappears. It's
Okay.
not
Yeah.
related,
Yeah, that's
so.
fine. I've got one for you as well. So.
Okay.
Thank you. I got to run. I'll see you
Okay. Hey,
later.
thanks.
See you, folks.
Thank
Good to
you.
see. Yeah. Good to see everyone.
Take care.
Catch you. Yeah. Catch you next time.